Hello and welcome to the Road to the Garden podcast. I am Matt St. Jean here with my co-host Tommy Godin, as always, and a very special guest today, Mr. Matt Norlander from CBS Sports. Thanks for coming on, Matt.
It's my pleasure, and suck it, John Fanta. Just kidding. Just figured I'd throw you guys off right off the top there.
Norlander making an appearance before Fanta too. So
and there we go. You know what? Is he already big time in you guys? Can't have it.
He has it. I don't remember if I reached out to him yet or not. We're gonna have him on at some point, I'm sure. But
you will wrangle him. John is the very best. I have no doubt of that.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. We got a fun show for you guys today. We're going through the whole Big East, and this is quite a week in the Big East right here. Lots of overtime games this week. You got a lot of free basketball in the Big East. So if you bought a ticket, you got your money's worth. We're going to be talking about it all on today's episode. A couple reminders before we get into it. First, we've teamed up with SeatGeek this season to get you the best deals for tickets to your favorite teams. SeatGeek takes the confusion out of buying tickets, and they're here to give you some great deals. Get in on the fun and head over to SeatGeek, download their app, and use code NCAA Hoops Digest for $20 off your first purchase. And always, this podcast is presented by House Enterprise and in partnership with House of College Hoops. Head over to our site, house-enterprise.com, for more info. Now, Matt, we wanted to get you settled in here with a little lightning round right off the bat. I've got 3 questions. Tommy's got 3 questions. We're just gonna throw them at you. And we want kind of instant reactions to these. Okay. You ready?
Let's go. Yep.
All right. First question, starting simple. What was the first basketball game you were ever credentialed to cover?
Good question. The first basketball game I was ever credentialed to cover would have been my college days at Western Connecticut State University, and I covered plenty of those. And so in my first NCAA tournament game I was ever credentialed to cover was when WCSU made the Division III tournament in the early to mid 2000s. So that would be my first credentialed game that I ever covered. That was in my college days.
That's awesome. We have a little thunder and lightning round here, completely unrelated. I have 3 little wild card questions, and for the intro that Matt gave you, one of the more viral moments that at least I remember is the Guster is for lovers sticker on the laptop.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Now, if you were stranded on a deserted island, which member of the band Guster would you want accompanying you? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I got. Trust me, that's getting ready for March here. Which member of the band?
Yeah,
I'm closest with the drummer, Brian Rosenworcel. Great dude, great hang. I'm in a fantasy NBA league with him, and so he would be the easy pick. Also, just a really, really good dude. All those guys are just absolutely tremendous, but I think I share the most in common with Brian.
I like it. If you could add one team to the Big East, who would you add?
Do I have to add is the question?
Yeah, you have to add exactly one team.
I have to add, okay, because my preference is keep it at 11, keep the double round robin, roll like that. If you
want, you can subtract a team to add another one. If you really want to make a fan base mad right now.
If I'm subtracting any team from the Big East, it's DePaul. If I'm adding a team to the Big East, I'm putting Syracuse back in the Big East. It's as simple as that. If I've got the all autonomous power here, I'm putting Q's back in the Big East where it belongs.
I love that. I would actually do the exact same thing. Now, they do media meals at the Big East, little behind the scenes, pulling back the curtain a little bit. You've been to a lot of these games. Every school does this. Best and worst media meal you've ever had?
Okay, unfortunately, I can't give you the worst for sure. The great irony is, and the Garden's gotten better, but it's in one of the food capitals of the entire planet, and yet somehow the media spread at the Big East, at the Madison Square Garden. Not even the Big East tournament. It's not even that. In fact, I'd even argue that the Big East tournament might step up its game. But yeah, MSG. It's just it's not where you might think. Best one. I don't know. I will say this. my first Final Four that I covered was 2011, and I didn't realize just how incredible the late night media spread ice cream sundae bar was, and so that was a memorable. And they don't do that anymore. They need to bring it back. They need Dave
that
Warlock
sounds
needs
so
to
good.
bring that back big time. I mean, huge sundae bar, all the toppings, all the fixins. So that springs to mind as one of the most memorable. But I don't get too wrapped up in the food stuff, to be honest. There, you want to be fed. You want to have energy and have a good stomach when you're covering these games. But I'm appreciative for the gig all the same. But among the media circles that cover games at the Garden often, one of the laments over the years is that a city that's known for its fine delicacies and cuisines and some of the best food you can find anywhere just can't make it past the perimeter of what's there on 33rd and 7th.
Yeah, that's something I was the first time I did like commentary when I was in college. I remember you go to places and you get great food, and I was like, I can't wait for the Big East tournament. And you get there, and it was like, all right, it's sandwiches and cookies. It works.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Of all the basketball arenas that you haven't been to, which one would you
Yeah.
like to see a game in next?
I answered this in a court report at CBSSports.com earlier this season. And I put them in order. What was the one I put at the top of the list, though? What's the one that I have? Because it was Mackey. Mackey's now off the list. Cintas was on the list, but it wouldn't be the number one. That I haven't been to. I'm scrolling KenPom right now. The New Texas building would be in the top 3, but that wouldn't be. I've been to McHale. Auburn's is good. I want to get. Oh, yeah, that's what it is. Bud Walton. Haven't been to Arkansas. Bud Walton is at the top of my list to get to.
Okay.
That would be my number 1 pick right now.
That's a good one. We're finding a lot about Matt Norlander here, basketball and otherwise. So we got one final one more fun one.
Yep.
You're setting up a bank heist with a Big East coach. Who's your partner in
There we
crime?
go. A lot of factors you got to consider with this. All right,
Yeah.
so I'm setting up a heist. Is the coach gonna be like he's going into the bank with me?
Oh yeah.
Well, that's the thing,
Okay.
because my thinking was I went with Ewing. I mean, he's 6'8", 255.
No,
like,
but here's the
worst
deal,
comes to worst, he
man.
can do-
No. You gotta think through this.
Okay,
Is
I
the
like this.
coach in your scenario?
Mhm.
Is the coach saying F my career, let's go rob a bank, or is it's this person, their personality, but they have never coached before. They are not a known public figure, but I'm taking all of their personality traits and attributes. Now I got to consider both of these things. So which one is it?
This is a very well thought out answer. This is amazing. Let's go with the
Thank you.
latter here. Let's go with the
Yeah.
latter.
Okay, so they are not a public figure. I just know them for
No.
who they are.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, Ewing's out. All right. His stature is too big. They will find him.
Yeah.
They will find us. You need someone that blends into the crowd, that understands what needs to be done. Going into the building, fleet of foot. I'm looking at this right now. Dude, if I'm on the other side of this thing, oh man, there's a lot of good options now that I think about this. It's absolutely not Thad Matta.
No. No.
No, I think you
Give
can eliminate
me
him pretty quickly.
Sean Miller. Just
Really?
because he's going to command the room. He's going to have this super well thought out. He's going to, when we go through the movie montage, rolling out the blueprint on the table, he's pointing here, he's pointing there, he's pointing there. He knows he's talking to all of us. He's the mastermind of this. He's pulling off the heist, and he's not messing around once we get in that building. Okay. All right.
I
It's
love
Miller.
that answer.
That's my pick. Hurley's
You just
there as
better
well,
hope.
but I feel like Hurley. I feel like I've got a little bit of concern in the 11th hour with Hurley. That's all I'm saying.
You better hope
I'm
I'm
forensics
gonna text
doesn't
him.
come.
I'm gonna text him and tell him to see what he thinks. Yeah.
See, I would have gone with I think Shaka Smart here.
I considered
I think
it,
he'd react well under pressure.
and I feel like he would be incredible if he had to he's the most nimble if he's got to duck under these laser beams for sensors and stuff. I want Shaka all day. Okay, but And Shaka would be very calm, very cerebral, wouldn't rattle. But I just feel like Sean Miller might be the man for the job.
I like that. Better hope forensics doesn't come. I don't know if he can pick up DNA and sweat, but he might be sweating under
It's
pressure on the
valid.
way out.
It's
I like
valid.
Shaheen too. Shaheen with a 5'9", 5'10".
Oh,
he's
you know what?
pretty good.
Badass.
Yeah,
He's a badass. There's a lot of good candidates for this.
for sure.
So if you're robbing a bank, the Big East, that's probably where you want to start. I think that's what we got out of that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the number one conference in the country in coaches who could rob a bank.
Yes. Yes. Should I ask this question to Gary Parrish on the Eye on College Basketball podcast?
Please do.
I'm going to probably resist doing it because I don't know which way he'll take that, and I might come to regret it. So it's going to stay here.
That's probably smart. That's a business decision right there.
If you ask that one, you're not getting him back for another 30 minutes.
It could be trouble. Yeah.
All right. I think it's time for the actual basketball talk at this point. We got a lot of good basketball in the Big East this week. I think we might have had the game of the year in the conference. Providence, Creighton, pink out game on Valentine's Day for the Friars. This one goes to double overtime. Bryce Hopkins goes wire to wire, plays all 50 minutes as the Friars pick up the win. 20 lead changes, 17 ties. Another one of these Ed Cooley grinded out games at the what do we want to call it? The Duncan Civic Pavilion. We'll just merge them all together.
It's the dunk.
Yeah. Matt, what were your takeaways from that one?
Providence continues to have preternatural poise in close games late. Cooley continues to win these close games, and they aren't just all luck. They have an ability to close out. Now, that building is so hard to win in as well, so you got to take that into account. Credit to Creighton. I mean, Creighton was riding the best winning streak of its career in the Big East as a program over the past decade, and it just, ran out of gas in the second overtime. It just was a reminder to me. My big takeaway from that, two of them. One, Providence maintains its pace in the hunt to maybe finish atop the Big East. Obviously, Marquette right now is standalone first place. And then it's just, when two teams play that relatively well over the course of 50 minutes, it's just a reminder that they're for real and they need to be taken seriously as second weekend teams in the tournament.
Yeah, going off of that, I mean, McDermott said it best after the game. He said if it was a great college game if you didn't care who won, and it absolutely was. We had 20 lead changes, 17 ties. Devin Carter with a career-high 25. Hopkins and Locke also scored in the 20s. But, yeah, going off what Matt said, Providence's defense just stepped up in the second overtime. They stepped up in crunch time, and that is 100% on Ed Cooley, the reigning national coach of the year. It wasn't a mistake.
Yeah, I thought Cooley coached this one really well. I think we saw two of the best coaches in college basketball there, kind of going back and forth with some of those out of timeout stuff, but Cooley got the better of them. And so hard to win in that building for anybody that is not Providence.
Agreed,
Creighton's
guys,
lack
agreed.
of depth was really exposed yet again.
Yeah, and that's going to be a thing. I still think Creighton can overcome that. It's going to be why, I wouldn't consider Creighton to be a national championship contender. 6 games in March, asking a lot. But
right.
Certainly a team that can win, 2 to 4 games in the big bracket there. But I do wonder if the lack of depth will catch up to them. It's why I won't pick Creighton, no matter what Creighton does over the next couple of weeks. It's why I won't pick them to win the Big East tournament. But I think they can get to the title game, and they've had I want to say they've had 5 trips in 9 years or something to the title game. They've made that final night plenty of times. I just don't know if they'll break through and do it this year.
Yeah, it's so tough. And I think they have arguably the best starting 5 in the Big East. They're up there, that's why they can beat anybody. But yeah, it's so hard to do it on back-to-back nights. So hard to do it when the game gets dragged out. And you had Kalkbrenner and Frederick King both get in foul trouble too, or pretty early on. And that's going to hurt you, especially with a guy as good as Kalkbrenner. The other kind of candidate here for game of the year in the Big East, we got Marquette Xavier last night, which was another absolutely wild one. Xavier goes up and Marquette battles all the way back. It's Omax Prosper with the putback at the buzzer in this one. Fantastic game, just thrilling from start to finish. But I want to go to your court report here for a second, because you talked about Shaka Smart in this one. That's what it was all about this week. What's he doing right at Marquette that he wasn't able to do right at Texas? Why is this version of Shaka more successful?
Valid question, and I think it's something that that people in the sport have talked about plenty, just kind of casually. I mean, I've had plenty of coaches just bring up to me like Shaka at Marquette. That just feels like such a good fit. It is a basketball first institution. A lot of its values align with what Shaka Smart is all about. And he has been able to get, like, he has thrived. He was able to listen. He recruited 5-star players and got one and done guys into the NBA that are still playing and starting at that level in the league. He can do it in a bunch of different ways. But at Marquette, there's just an ideology, I think, a hardwood ideology that is just closer to the way he wants to run a program. And I do think he thrives a little bit when he is doubted and his program is doubted. And he is able to he gets the most out of his rosters. And so there's been a lot of that. I mean, as that piece shows and it kind of depicts, this top 6 scorers on this Marquette team are all sophomores. Some are second-year guys, some are COVID third-year sophomores, but they're all designated as sophomores, and they are accounting for north of 70% of the team's production. And I don't have the time to go and look at, the other 40, 50 teams that are, in contention to make the tournament from high major leagues. I don't think that there's another team that is weirdly relying on just like a single class like that Marquette is, and to that number, your top 6 guys. And I give them credit. I give that staff credit. They banked on this roster, and I don't think they thought they would be winning the Big East. I don't. I do think that they thought that they would have a chance to be anywhere from 3rd to 6th instead of where they were picked at 9th. So we look up here. And they're a legitimate team, and it's really, really cool to see. And I was grateful for Shaka willing to speak on the record about looking at some transfers. Then those conversations started to switch and change, and then he just decided we're not going to do this year. And a lot of coaches would have still tried, and without an NIL collective in place and stuff like that at Marquette, he was like, not doing it. We like our guys, and we'll just see how this works. And it's worked beautifully.
If there was an all Big East most improved team, I think all 5 players would be from Marquette this year. The way that those guys have improved year over year, it's incredible. It says a lot about his development of guys there and the culture and the buy-in and the way they all work off of each other. So chemistry matters a ton in basketball. And it's scary to think that they can bring these guys back and do this again with guys who have another year of development too, and with recruits coming in. So they might. There's the void at the top of the Big East, which has kind of been the big story here of the year with Jay Wright retiring, and Marquette's in a good position to kind of lay the next claim to that with the guys they have on that roster right now. I do want to talk about the other team we saw though, and this is for either one of you. Xavier went out there very injured, basically with a 7-man rotation, with 2 guys coming off the bench who they didn't trust that much, and they went into that building and played Marquette as tough as anybody has this season. Does this tell you something good about Xavier, or is it just a loss is a loss and it is what it is?
I'll be quick on this, and then Tommy can take it. Listen, Xavier, it got picked off at Butler, almost a week ago. Tough one, and it's Sean going up against that, and on the road, and then there was controversy at the end of the game with the goaltending and all that kind of stuff. So you lose that. But then to respond shorthanded in Marquette's building, you've already got to win over Marquette and just take it down to the final possession. Basically, it was an impressive showing, and Xavier didn't have three of its 7 most important players in the game, and so for them to still be able to do that, you just take it. Xavier's next games are DePaul home against DePaul, home against Nova. I think they'll be fine here. I don't think they'll lose more than 1 game from here until the start of the Big East tournament, and basically head into postseason play as an 8-loss team, which every Xavier fan would have taken at the start of the year.
Yeah, completely agree. Don't have much more to add to that, but Xavier, they came into this game, they led by 13 at one point. They led for 26 minutes of this game. Sule Boom, incredibly gifted scorer, 24 points on 10 of 15 shooting. But yeah, at the end of the game, Sean Miller was just unhappy with not only the physical, but the mental toughness of his team down the stretch, calling it inexplicable. And game pressure is just something that you can't simulate until you're in the game. This was nothing like the first time these two teams met. It was an 80-76 game. But but the mental or the physical toughness loomed large as well. Marquette had 15 total offensive rebounds and 11 second chance shot opportunities just in the second half alone. I don't know how much of that is due to the bench or lack thereof for Xavier, but I mean, again, 8-loss team, you sign up for that any day of the week.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about this if I were Sean Miller. I think you're happy that you were competitive, and I think there's still some issues with Xavier, especially on defense, rebounding, physicality. But you weren't gonna out physical Marquette on a night like that with the guys you had on that team. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Xavier down the stretch here. We're gonna be looking at that in a couple minutes. I don't know if you saw this game, Matt, the St. John's DePaul game the other night that also went to double overtime.
Not a shot in hell.
You missed a good one. This was enthralling. So I'll give you the highlights here. DePaul was up by 13 with 6:49 to go. St. John's comes all the way back. They had a 3 at the buzzer to send the game to overtime. End up winning it in overtime. This was the second straight game Andre Curbelo has missed for St. John's. They won both of them somehow. So that's a situation over there for the Red Storm. Soriano, 21 points, 16 rebounds. And then Nick Ongenda came back for DePaul. He had 8 blocks. The team had 13 blocks and was not able to win. So this had everything you would expect from the late night DePaul St. John's game that goes into double overtime. It was the game that just kept on giving, even if you didn't want it to. But yeah, I know, Tommy, you got a story from this one too.
Oh yeah, the story of the game. So DePaul debuting their new Threads, amazing uniforms that they broke out, but they're doing a hat giveaway. I'm not sure if either of you saw this. They're doing a hat giveaway for all of the students, and it's a dope hat. It's like a cream color hat, blue brim, old school Blue Demons logo on it, the whole 9 yards. It's a sick hat. But there's DePaul fans on Twitter complaining they're on the first bus there. They didn't get a hat. And I don't know if this is true or not. One student tweeted that someone tried to steal a hat, ran up the stairs, got tackled by security. This game had everything. It's all the hat situation is all you wanted in this DePaul St. John's game. The game itself was, I wish I didn't stay up to watch the end of it. Kobe King's going to be seeing Nick Ongenda in his nightmares, 8 blocks, like Matt said. But the hat situation is just a total flub, and I think the story of this one.
I'm sure it no doubt has, and I have only regrets that I missed this entire saga. Thank you for keeping me up to date.
Tommy's got you covered on all your hat news. Everything about that screams late night St. John's DePaul. It was entertaining. I'm not sure if we learned anything about either team here. It just was what it was. 2 more Big East results in the last couple days. Villanova, Seton Hall, they pick up wins over Butler and Georgetown. Villanova has won 3 in a row here. They got a tough schedule down the stretch. Tommy, I know you got the games lined up. If you want to read them off, Matt, I'm curious what you think about what Villanova has coming up.
Okay. Yeah, I'm also interested. I wanted to see what you think their record could be down the stretch. This Saturday, they have Providence at the dunk, as we call it on this. Then we're at Cintas to see Xavier, at home versus Creighton, away at Seton Hall, and then we wrap up at home against UConn. None of these games are in the Finn. The 2 home games are in the Wells Fargo Center, but away at Providence and Xavier, home Creighton and UConn, and away at Seton Hall.
Mark me down. Mark me down for 2 and 3 from Villanova in that stretch.
Two more quad 1 wins than they have right now.
I know they don't have a quad 1 win yet. That's surprising, but Villanova's played tough. They've played close. It's weird how the expectations shift in a year's time, but I actually think that Villanova can be the spoiler that gets to Friday night in the Big East tournament. I actually think there's enough there. It won't surprise me if it happens. But Villanova is obviously going to be, for the first time since the Big East realigned, Villanova is going to be playing on Wednesday. And I think it can win on Wednesday, and I think it can win on Thursday. No, regardless of the opponent. I'm not saying it definitely will. I'm just saying it won't surprise me if that's just one of the buzzier storylines 2 days out from Selection Sunday, that Kyle Neptune has his team playing in prime time in that building.
Now, I was listening to the podcast yesterday on my way home from work, the newest one that just released, and I saw GP drop that on you, the no quad one wins, and Villanova in there was just crazy. Now they have a chance wrapping up the year, 5 quad one games in a row. Even 2 wins would be nice. If they get 2 wins at the Big East tournament, a Thursday game is another chance to pick up a quality win. Do you think that's enough to get Nova in?
No, Nova has no shot. It has to win the Autumn bid at this point. There's just too many losses and too many bad losses on the schedule. It can't. How about this? I won't say no chance. Villanova would literally have to win out to the semis from now. Win at Providence, win at Xavier, beat Creighton at home, win at Seton Hall, win at UConn at home, then get to the semis. Then it actually would have a compelling resume. But I mean, it's got the loss to Temple. It's got the loss to Portland on there. It's got the loss against DePaul. I know it's road, but there's just no. There's not enough. There's not enough there. It's almost certainly has to win the whole thing.
Yeah. The other team I think that's in that spot is Seton Hall. Do you think they have an at-large hope here, or
a better one? But it needs to go 3-1 down the stretch in the regular season. At UConn, home to Xavier, home to Nova, at Providence. Go 3-1 in that stretch, and then I actually think it's pretty compelling. We'll see if Shaheen Holloway's team can find some decent magic here. If not, then it's going to need to make the Big East title game, and then we'll talk again.
Yeah, and that's the state of the Big East this year. You got 5 teams who are among the 25 best in college basketball, 4 teams who are pretty bad at the bottom, and then Seton Hall and Nova just kind of hanging around in the middle. Decent teams, not enough on the resume. I want to talk about the top 4 here, because I want to hear your thoughts on how this is going to go down the stretch. And I think this is the most interesting part of the Big East right now. The race for the number 1 seed at the Big East tournament, the race for the Big East regular season championship. I'm going to pull up a graphic here. So we got the schedules of all 4 teams and their records. I want to talk about how we think this is going to play out, because it also gets really crazy with some of the tiebreakers that could happen and coin flips and all of that. We got Marquette at 13-3 in the conference right now. 4 games left for the Golden Eagles. They're off this weekend. Xavier, Creighton, Providence, all at 11-4, all with 5 games left, all in play this weekend in games we're going to be talking about in a little bit here. Has Marquette basically earned essentially a guarantee of sharing the league title at this point? I think that has to be the expectation, right?
That is the expectation, and I think that will happen. So with what is remaining on the schedule for Marquette, at worst, it will share the regular season title in the Big East. It has a good chance of having the standalone regular season title. Yes.
What do you guys think of the odds for the other 3 teams in there to get in on sharing that?
I would say, looking at the schedules here, Providence is manageable. So is Creighton. Xavier is still shorthanded. There's a chance, but like Creighton's got to beat Marquette and then pick up another game somewhere. So Creighton's got the best. How about this? The chance of finishing at the top of the league standings go in this order at this stage. Marquette 1, Creighton 2. Give me Xavier 3 and Providence 4. That would be my order.
Now, I'll add another wrinkle to this here, which is the way the standings are likely to break out. If we assume that UConn is the 5 seed in all of this, and the home teams win the game, so Creighton beats Marquette, Providence beats Xavier when they're at home. If Providence beats UConn, they'll have a sweep of the Huskies, which means they would have the tiebreaker over any of the other teams in here except for Xavier, because Xavier also swept UConn the way the Big East works out. So that actually sets up a scenario here where, should Creighton beat Marquette next Tuesday and Providence beat UConn on Wednesday, the Friars, and assuming Providence beats Villanova too, the Friars are in the driver's seat for the number 1 seed of the Big East tournament.
That is interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of combinations that can still play out. On a certain level, I just don't know how much any of this matters, because the teams are going to smash up against each other at the Garden anyway. And so the seeding in the Big East just feels less consequential than some other high major conferences. And we're going to be treated. That Thursday is just going to be awesome. I can't wait for it. That's going to be an awesome, awesome quarterfinal Thursday.
I think the 1 seed matters a lot here, because you avoid Villanova or Seton Hall the next day, you're guaranteed to avoid that. And I think the 4
Yeah.
seed is tough. The 4 seed is going to be basically a guaranteed matchup with UConn on Thursday.
Yeah, and UConn could be gettable, or it might catch them pissed off. So yeah, it just depends.
Tommy, how do you think this plays out?
One thing I'm interested about, I remember talking to Matt at Big East Media Day. I was enamored by his pick preseason, Xavier #1, and at long stretches during the season, it looked like Xavier was that team. And of course, injuries happen and things happen. I want to know from the preseason, what was it about this Xavier? Obviously, Sean Miller coming in, this amazing offense, but what was it that made you pull the trigger on the #1 pick? And do you think that team still has that potential to go into the Big East tournament and maybe shock some people?
Yeah, it can win the Big East tournament. I picked it because I was a seller on Creighton being a top 10 preseason team. I liked but didn't love UConn. Obviously, I didn't see Marquette coming. I didn't see Providence to this level coming. So Miller's coaching ability with the amount of guys coming back from an NIT championship team, I didn't think Boone was going to be. I thought Boone would be like a nice rotation guy. And so honestly, it was a lark. I knew that they would be decent on offense just in having had discussions with the staff. But it was just, sometimes we get groupthink in the preseason. Creighton was a very popular pick, and so was obviously Villanova. But then I'd gotten a little bit of intel, that Villanova in the preseason, in those practices, it wasn't showing itself. And plus you had the injuries and all that stuff. So I was like, why not take Xavier? So that's basically what it was. I mean, I did believe it could happen, but a little bit was just fading the general public sentiment when it came to that too. Good God. I'm watching this Maryland Purdue game, by the way. Every time I look up, Maryland is draining a 3-pointer. They're going to romp Purdue. And I'm saying it right here first. I'm going to say it on the Friday pod too. I'm loving this because people are going to fade Purdue so hard. I'm at minimally putting the Purdue into the Elite Eight. People are going to fade this team so hard. Good. Bring it on. And good on Maryland. It's now headed to the tournament because of a win of this value. That's big time stuff. Not Big East stuff, but I'm watching this as we.
Hey, you got Kevin Willard there. So a former Big East guy. There's a connection.
That is true. And I did pick that in the preseason. We had to identify the first-year coaches and high majors we thought would get to the tournament. And Maryland was a bit of a shot in the dark for a lot of folks. I thought he'd get there. I thought he'd get there like as a 10 seed, and that really might wind up being what happens.
Yeah, I look at that, the Mohegan Sun tournament, College Hall of Fame tip-off. The field they had in that this year was incredibly interesting when you look back. Miami, Maryland, Providence, and St. Louis. That's probably all 4 making the dance here, depending on what happens with St. Louis down the stretch in the A10 tournament. But a really good group of teams in that. You could do a whole 8-9 pod at March Madness with that if you wanted.
Yeah, that is true. All right, what else you guys got?
One of these I think we kind of talked about already. I think we know your answer. Sleeper to win the Big East tournament. Is there a sleeper, or is it going to come from the top 5?
Nova's the sleeper. It's hard to say Nova's the sleeper, but Nova is the sleeper. None of the top 5 are sleepers. So Nova and Seton Hall are the two obvious, the two candidates. Like St. John's does not apply. Apologies to Johnny's fans. So Nova is my pick for sure.
No Georgetown?
Sleeper to win one game? No.
Doubling the win count. That'd be huge.
Exactly.
Yeah. Kind of going off of that too, and we talked about some of these already, but if you got to pick the 2 matchups we see on Friday at the Garden, and you forget about like the seeding and all that, which matchups would you want to see?
Don't have a preference, but if I got to pick, if there's a way for Providence and UConn to play at a semi, give me that. And then I got to knock off one of Creighton, Marquette, and Xavier. I think Creighton's capable of such high quality ball, so I would say Creighton, Xavier because of the offensive potential. Marquette's also a really, really good offensive team, but I would narrowly say Creighton, Xavier. That would be my twin bill if I could pick it.
I like it. I'm a sicko, so I'm going to go Georgetown, Butler, because I just feel like that would be amazing to see.
I'm about to leave this podcast right now. You're talking Georgetown Butler on Friday night.
I'm talking Saturday
That's
night.
not even sicko material. Maryland storming the floor on Purdue. Listen, have fun. I'm not going to judge you, but just, Purdue's had the floor stormed on them like 7 times in the past 8 games. It just keeps happening. The luster is gone. That's all I'm saying. But you know what? College kids, have at it. I'm not gonna shame you for it. Do what you got to do. Just saying, it's not Northwestern over Purdue. That's all.
Indiana didn't get the court stormed the other day.
It did not. It did not.
That was a controversial game too. I saw that the internet was very much alive in Indiana after that one. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, it was particular. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, but you know what? That's what they specialize in.
Yeah, so I think if we're doing matchups for Friday, I'd want to see Providence Xavier because I feel like every time they've met recently, we get good games. I think I'd want Marquette UConn on the other side just for the contrasting styles.
I feel like UConn's got a target on their back. I feel like they're just a popular pick for this segment. Obviously, my real pick would be Nova UConn just because we had it last year. It was an amazing game. I feel like Nova's hitting their stride right now. UConn's was the top 5 team in the country. Then they fell off. Now they're back a little bit. So who knows with them? But I feel like if Nova's hitting their stride, it would be a really fun game.
I like that one. Move it down here, Matt. What do you think the ceiling is for each of the top 5 teams in the Big East in March Madness? How far can they go?
Providence is Elite 8. Creighton is Final 4. Marquette is Elite 8. Xavier's Final 4. UConn is national championship game. I still think UConn at its best is the best team in the conference. At its best, the question is, can it be that?
And what would you say for floor for these teams then?
The floor for all of them is to lose in the first round of the tournament because that's the kind of season we have, and they all have just too many losses. We've seen them be vulnerable in multiple kinds of ways. So the floor is actually, showing. And UConn needs to prove it can get out of the first round. It hasn't been able to do that under Hurley. So the floor is that. Just I take no glory in saying it, but yeah, it's just that's the floor is get there, and you get the wrong kind of matchup and you get booted. That's the case for most teams in the sport.
Yeah, there's a certain rock paper scissors element to it too, where I feel like every single one of these teams in the Big East has something that can get them, and you get the wrong matchup in March and it'll be one and done.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's see. We got a couple more here. How do you think the Big East compares to the other conferences this year if you had to rank them?
It's third. I mean, pretty clearly across the board. Big 12 is overwhelmingly the best. Big 10 is 2. Big East is a firm third. And it's a good year. The top half is strong. You're going to get 5 teams that can make the second weekend. You're going to take it every single time. I don't know if you'll get the 6 team or not. I would lean no, but I think 6 is possible. Put it 20%. But it's faring well. It's definitely not the Big 12. And it's definitely not quite the Big 10, which has a weird middle, but it has a stronger middle than the Big East. I would take it narrowly over the SEC personally, though.
I like it. I like that a lot. The Big Ten is so much fun to watch this year. I love Northwestern with Boo and Chase. Oh, my goodness. They're probably my favorite. Big Ten's my favorite non-conference. Well, I guess non-Big East conference to watch. It's just mayhem every night. I love it.
Yeah, it's a physical. I'm glad we get the Big East, Big 12, and Big 10 kind of all playing each other. Or at least the Big East gets both in the non-conference. That's a ton of fun. We didn't get good matchups for the most part this year. Hopefully that's a little bit different next year. We got one more before we look at some of the games this weekend. The bottom 4 teams in the Big East, I think we're going to get some coaching changes out of those. What do you think the future looks like for them, and what do you think of the coaching situations for these?
Bottom 4. Georgetown should make a change, but I also believe it when I see it. DePaul is obviously not moving on from Tony Stubblefield yet. He's got time. I'd say he's got at least 2 years, to be honest. DePaul, I don't know what to say about DePaul. I got to see it. I got to see it. It's still not happening. So I'd love to see that. I genuinely would love to see DePaul have even 16 wins by the time we get to the final week of February. But we're we're just not there yet. So it's wait and see. Georgetown is just, we'll get rid of Ewing. It probably will, but we'll have to fire him to do so. He's the greatest player in program history. It's a delicate thing right there. And then who becomes the coach?
Mike Brad.
A few names.
It's a name I'd throw out there.
Not
Rick
unthinkable,
Pitino?
but would not be. Maybe, I don't know.
We've
heard
had
a few names.
Georgetown, and we've had Georgetown and St. John's fans in our mentions for weeks now, going at each other's throats, wanting Rick Pitino. So
yeah, I know.
There's
We'll have to
Ed
see.
Cooley push too.
Yeah, I know. We'll see. There's a lot going on at Georgetown right now, and figuring out what that job can be and who it can lure in their NIL situation. There's a lot there. Butler, this is not surprising to me. I didn't think they'd be like sub 500, but I didn't think Butler was going to flirt with 20 wins. So let's just see. Let's see what Thad Matta can do in year 2. If there's still this in next season, not saying that Thad Matta would necessarily leave, but you're going to have some real troubling signs there. St. John's, I can definitely see them moving on. And if that happens, the candidates will be plenty out there for the St. John's job. I just don't know, the Pitino, St. John's, or Georgetown, and which would it be? Which could it be? Does he really want either of them? I don't know. But if you set the over/under on coaching changes in this league at 1.5, I'd actually go over, but it would not stun me if it hit the under. That's all I'll say.
I would also go over. Yeah. It's like he has to be.
Just has to at this point. They have the money. I don't.
That's the rumor. Rumors they've got it lined up now, and they have for a little bit. So we'll see what actually happens.
We sure will.
Yeah. But yeah, all right. Should we get into the games this weekend? Or you got anything over there, Tommy?
I'm good. I like a little preview time.
All right, we're just gonna
let's
run
roll.
The
I did not bring my computer charger. It's saying I got 11% battery. So we either finish this here or I'm just gonna blank out on you at a moment's notice. It's my charger's not in the office. So
we'll go through them quick then. We'll rip through these. First game up this weekend, Saturday noon, Fox game from Gamble Pavilion, Seton Hall at UConn. Seton Hall pulled the upset the first time, came back from down 17. Yeah. Casey and Defo with the putback, 1.6 seconds left. Matt, did they do it again? Did Seton Hall sweep UConn?
No, but Seton Hall's at large chances probably hinge on whether they can go in and do this in Gamble. Dan Hurley did not coach this game the first time around. He had COVID, and Kamani Young was also not on the bench, and he is the key lead assistant for that program. And so I'm going to say no. I'm going to say UConn gets it done. But Saturday will bring a surprise result or two, and I think this is within the realm of that. But UConn losing this game would have me reassess that whole what's its ceiling deal. UConn, if you're good enough, you win this, and you win it clearly. I think that's what happens.
Yeah, I completely agree there. These are two very good defenses going up against each other, but the big difference, the glaring difference really is the offenses. Seton Hall is ranked 165th in offensive efficiency on KenPom, whereas UConn
keeps going down.
Is ranked 11th. Yeah, it's tough. So UConn was in that rut, like Matt said. No Kamani Young, no Dan Hurley. UConn's back. I think they win this one pretty convincingly.
Yeah, I agree. If UConn's the team we think they are, they win this going away, probably 10 plus. I think it's probably a little bit closer than that because of the way the team is played. But I'll take the Huskies. After that, this is on your network, Matt. DePaul at Xavier, 4:00 Eastern on CBS Sports Network. DePaul looking to sweep the season series. Blue Demons ended an 11-game Xavier winning streak the first time. DePaul won at Xavier last year, has won 3 of the last 4 against Xavier. They won in the last game, played pre-COVID at Madison Square Garden. The last game that was finished there that Wednesday night at the Garden. Didn't play once in the 2020-21 season. So some weird stuff between these two teams. Matt, is Xavier going to split this?
Xavier's going to split it. Xavier by 22.
I like that. Yeah, this was another one that was close last time. Mo Gibson really put on for the DePaul Blue Demons. But, yeah, I agree here. This one's not going to be fairly close.
It shouldn't be close, but weird stuff happens between these teams. I'm taking Xavier, but it wouldn't totally shock me if DePaul did something weird in this one. That's DePaul basketball this year for you. 4:30 Eastern from the Dunk, Villanova at Providence. It was a 5-point game when they met at Wells Fargo earlier this season. Friars pulled it out. Jordan Longino did not play in that one. He's back now. Before I ask for your pick, I got a trivia time for you here.
Oh boy.
So Villanova,
You did not receive permission from my attorneys for this. How dare you? Go ahead. Fire away.
Villanova owns the last 2 wins in that building that aren't by the Providence Friars. Do you know who the last team to win in that building was that was not Providence or Villanova? This is for both of you.
Men's hoops team in the Big East. This isn't some sort of trick question.
No. It is a Big East team. I'll give you a hint. When they did it, they were ranked number 6 in the country.
Last
Is it
team to win
Butler?
the Dunk.
It
No.
is Butler, Tommy.
Get the hell out of here. That's an outrage. What?
The 2019-2020 season. Butler got up to number 6. They lost to DePaul, and LaVall Jordan was never the same after that one.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Is Villanova going to make it 3 in a row here, I think, against Providence in this building? Tommy, we'll come to you. You're the Villanova guy, Tommy, so we'll come to you. Are they going to do it?
They could. I mean, it was close last time they met, and like you mentioned, that was without Jordan Longino. Villanova had them on the ropes before Jared Bynum went Super Saiyan. So Jordan Longino's back in that win over Butler. Villanova's defensive efficiency jumped 10 spots on KenPom, albeit still in the 80s. So not great. They have a chance to. I don't think they will. But, I mean, going into this gauntlet, it's going to be a real test for this Wildcats team.
Taking Providence?
Taking Providence. There is upset potential, but I will go with the Friars in this spot. Nicely snug there on the Saturday time slot too, 4:30. I will go Providence here, but I like Providence by like less than 5 points. What else is new?
Agree.
Yeah. This feels like one of those. I'll be there for this one too, and I think we're going to get an entertaining game. I feel like this is going to be a low-scoring slugfest too, but I'll take the Friars in it. We'll go to the late-night Saturday game in the Big East. Fox Sports 1 from Carnesecca Arena. Creighton at St. John's. Blue Jays won 104-76 in the first meeting. Both of these teams just played double overtime games. Creighton 3-5 on the road this season. Their 3 wins: Butler, Georgetown, Seton Hall. Their losses: Texas, Marquette, UConn, Xavier, Providence. I feel like this feels like a trap game for Creighton to me.
Man, it's hard to see St. John's winning this, but it is at home. Carnesecca. How well will it be attended? These are the games Mike Anderson wins in order to keep his job.
Yeah.
I'm going to give me St. John's. You just wait. And just enough here. St. John's.
I like
Gate
that.
Mike gets it done. Yep.
There's also that addition by subtraction motif here with the AJ Store in over Andre Curbelo. Won 2 games in a row without Andre Curbelo in the lineup. I don't know how much of that is coincidence or not, but yeah, it's at Carnesecca, which is going to be tough. I just think Creighton's too good up front. Their starting 5 is just too talented to drop this one. I'm going to take Creighton here.
That's the smart play. I'm not going to do it. I'm taking St. John's. We need a little chaos in the Big East, and I don't think there's a chance it goes chalk on Saturday. So I'm taking this upset. I think that'd be fun. That'd be an entertaining game. So we'll see what happens there Saturday night. One final game in the Big East this weekend, and it is a doozy. Matt, you are going to love this one.
Yeah.
3:00 Sunday afternoon, Fox Sports 1, Georgetown at Butler. Butler won the first one 80-51 on New Year's Day. That's Butler's last road win. Georgetown doesn't have a road win since February 27th, 2021 at DePaul. The 2 Bulldog mascots, I don't know. Does it matter who wins?
Somebody's got to.
Butler by default. I can't believe you put this on the rundown. But you know what? You're covering the Big East. You got to do it.
We do all the games here.
Got to do all the games.
I like
It's
what
a
you
tough
said.
one.
That it's not even a sickos game at that point. It's beyond that level. Somebody's got to win. Matt, your jersey tracker here.
Oh yeah.
I feel like whatever team is wearing the most wins in that jersey, is going to get the win. That's
Yeah.
what I'm going on.
Yeah, Matt, I track the jerseys that every team in the Big East wears and their
Good
records
little
in
thing.
them.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Georgetown does not have a win this season in a dark colored jersey. They only have
Doesn't
wins in
feel
white
like
and
there's
gray.
a lot of correlation, to be honest. They could wear
It
Kermit the
really
Frog
does.
green, and I don't think it's going to make a difference. But sure.
Well, they did. They wore blue at home once, and they were trying to shake things up. It didn't help. That, I believe, was the Georgetown Butler game. Butler was wearing white on the road in that one and pulled away. So, yeah, I don't know. And, yeah, Georgetown's, it doesn't matter what they wear. They're not winning games this year, except for this one. I'm picking them. Why not?
See how that
Lone
works
Wolf
out
in
for
it. Patrick Ewing, he's gonna go 2 wins in the Big East this year. I think Georgetown's been playing had been playing better basketball recently until that Butler Xavier game. So we'll see what happens.
Hang the banner. 2
Yeah.
wins.
Yeah, that's gonna be my pick for that one, and I think that's gonna do it for us on this episode. Tom, did you have anything else you want to bring up?
No, just thank you so much, Matt, for joining us. It was a good time.
Yeah, no, guys, thanks for having me on. A little long chat here. This is an Eye on College basketball linked guest appearance. I appreciate you having me on. Look forward to seeing you guys in a few weeks down in Midtown Manhattan. However the bracket breaks, it's going to be a lot of fun. And no, sincerely, thank you. I appreciate you. And let's just hope we get a couple more weeks of good ball before we arguably get, like, we know the Big East tournament's always amazing, and it will be again. I'm just hoping we get, the best conference tournament in terms of competition and gameplay. Because selfishly, it's the one I'm going to. So that's what I'm rooting for.
Well, we know the way the Big East goes. We're gonna hype it up into this thing, and the next thing you know, Villanova, and Seton Hall, and St. John's are all gonna somehow get to Friday, and we're gonna end up with something real weird.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Even if that were to happen, and you'd have some weird stuff. First of all, the secondary ticket market, ouch. But otherwise, we make the best of it. But something tells me that's not going to happen.
No. It's a lot of hype around the Big East tournament this year, and we got a lot of good basketball between now and then too. So some really quality games coming up. We're gonna have stuff for you next week. I think we have a guest coming on next Monday when we do our show to talk about Creighton Marquette. So you guys got to make sure you stick around for that one. That should be a good one. I believe Paint Touches is coming on. You gave them a shout out on the Eye on College Basketball podcast.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, they do some great stuff there. So we will see you guys on Monday. Make sure you subscribe, tune in to that one. Thank you for coming on, Matt. I'm sure that people know where to find you, but in case they don't, where can they find you?
They can find me on the road to the Garden.
Oh, we got a new intro.
Yeah, that's gonna be we're gonna milk that one for a while.
That's the deal, boys.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you for coming on. Thanks everybody for listening, and we will see you next week.